questions in the chat room. So the first question was from Victor. First, this is the question he asked. Okay. So that is the question, and following is the answer from the trainer. So do well to check what the answer is. And the second question was from Oyin. And the second question says, and following is the answer to that question from the trainer. Okay, so please do well to read up the questions and answers as the case may be. All right, so Mercy, it's time to get the third trainer. All right, Mercy, over to you now.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So welcome back to the third session of today's class. So I'll be introducing our trainer for this session in the person of Henry Ogunlade. With a solid foundation in information security and management, Henry brings in years of hands-on experience in safeguarding organizational data and implementing robust security measures. His expertise extends to data analytics and customer relationship management, ensuring a holistic approach to security that aligns with both technical and organizational needs. His dedication to upholding the highest standards of information integrity and his proactive approach to threat mitigation has consistently delivered exceptional results. He is passionate about fortifying enterprise landscape. He is eager to contribute to and advance the cybersecurity objectives of forward-thinking organizations. He is a pension consultant and an entrepreneur. With a clap of hands in the chat room, let's welcome Henry Ogunlade to take the third session on stakeholder analysis and management with Bizagi practicals. Henry, please, you can take it up from here.
Thank you very much, Mercy. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, welcome to this afternoon session. I believe we can hear my voice. Please signify with your hands something if you can hear my voice, please.
We can hear your voice very clearly.
Oh, thank you, Edith. Okay, so we're all welcome to this afternoon session. So we'll be talking about business stakeholder analysis and management, and we're also going to look at Bizagi Modeler. Okay, it's a process modeling tool. For those of us that have our computers right now, please go visit this website and download the tool. It's about 400 megabytes thereabouts, so you can download it while we go through the stakeholder analysis and management. Please give me a second. Let me drop it to the chat window. Okay, so you need to register, okay, to have access to the portal. So you will register and then you log in, and then you'll be able to download the Bizagi Modeler. There are two types. There's the Bizagi Modeler and then the enterprise solution. Don't download the enterprise, just download the modeler and then install it on your computer. So by towards the end of this session, this afternoon session, we're going to take a look at the Bizagi tool for process modeling. So let me go straight to my slides here. So what do you understand by stakeholder analysis? Anybody, please? What do you understand by stakeholder? What do you understand by the word stakeholder? When you hear the word stakeholder, what comes to your mind? Anybody, please, you can unmute and just talk. Thank you.
please put up your hand if you want to speak and would unmute you to speak.
Oh, okay. Anybody, please? Stakeholder, what do you understand by the word stakeholder? Richard?
Okay, Richard, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. In my understanding, stakeholders are the directorate of an organization, like the decisions maker, the owners, in short, in my opinion.
Okay, so that's what, okay. All right. Would you please proceed? Thank you for that, Richard. Thank you.
Okay, a stakeholder or stakeholders are everybody that will be affected by your product, indirectly or directly. Even users, buyers, and all of them are all stakeholders. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. One more. Olabodurin. Pardon me, please. Olabodurin. Yes, Olabodurin, please.
Can you hear me? All right.
Yes, I can
Stakeholders
hear you.
are direct and indirect members of an organization. Basically, anyone who has interest in an organization are all stakeholders.
Okay, thank you very much. So we're actually training to be business analysts, right? We're training to be business analysts, and that means we should understand the product we are working with within the organization, or what we want to build within an organization. We should understand the business processes within that organization, and that involves identifying and managing stakeholders. Now, I won't just classify stakeholders as those that are, the decision makers within an organization. Okay, they are also stakeholders, and when it comes to stakeholders, they have different levels. But first, let's define the word stakeholder. Okay, let's define the word stakeholder. An individual or groups or an organization that has interest or concern in a particular project. Anybody that has interest and will be affected by a particular project is a stakeholder. Okay, from the top management to the project sponsor, to the customers, even to your competitors. Okay, even your competitors are stakeholders. Okay, so we're going to look at stakeholder categorization and how important the roles they play, with regards to the project, or our organization. Okay, so as business analysts, we should understand our stakeholders, understand how we can communicate, what we should communicate, when we should communicate information to these stakeholders. Okay, so let's proceed. Effective stakeholder management is crucial to the success of any business project, and that's for a fact. Stakeholder management is important for the success of any project. Before you carry out a project, you should understand your stakeholders. You should understand how you will communicate to your stakeholders. The information you send out to the top management is not the same information you send out to your customer. Okay, some years back, I remember Stanbic Bank. Yes, I bank with Stanbic Bank, my major bank, and they came up with an application. They released an application to the Play Store, and they sent an email to me. I received the mail, and they were like, the content of the mail just, in summary, we just released an application. If you find any challenges in this application, please report immediately. And it's more like they were expecting feedback from customers. Okay, so I took I took it upon myself that, wow, okay, this is interesting. Whenever I carry out a transaction and it fails, I try to get, I just document it and send it to them on Twitter, and I, send it to them via email, and they'll respond, they'll reply the message. Oh, thank you, it's acknowledged. And they'll go back to the transaction, try to reverse it and work on it and all that. Okay, so that's one way to, they were able to capture my attention, and they focused, and it gave me a sense of belonging that, yes, these people actually recognize the fact that I'm a stakeholder, and they were able to, I felt this connection with them. Okay, one of the major reasons why business analysis projects fail or do not succeed fully is poor stakeholder management. The project team does not recognize the importance or even the existence of a key stakeholder and the team. And the team then finds that its plans are constantly frustrated. Yes, if you don't identify the stakeholders and map out how you can communicate with these stakeholders, okay, understand how the product will affect the stakeholders, you will not make progress with that project. Let's take, for example, the in-era, for example. The in-era was a very wonderful idea. Okay, it was a very wonderful, going back to the in-era, if you look it down, if you relate with, those that were in the system from the, project initiation, CBN and all that, you understand this project. It's a very beautiful project. But you see, there are a lot of challenges. And one of the challenges actually was this stakeholder management. They didn't actually map out the stakeholders. They didn't, think it through how they'll communicate this information to the stakeholders. You don't just go to a Fulani man and tell him in-era when he's not even using the Stanbic Bank or GTB Bank. These guys are storing money in their homes. They have the fiscal cash. They prefer the fiscal cash. Why bring in and then just put it in the face of people without proper explanation? Okay, so that was one of the challenges of the in-era project. So we'll take a look at a few projects, and as we go, we have just 1 hour 30 minutes. So okay. If the right stakeholders are identified and managed properly, most obstacles can be cleared from the path. In fact, much of the groundwork for stakeholder management takes place before the business analysis project begins proper. During project inception and initiation, and that work must be revisited constantly during the project itself. There are some projects we carry out within an organization, and you see that someone from the finance department may not really understand the project, and because of that, will want to kill the project. Imagine someone from the IT coming up in a management meeting and saying that things like, we need a new server and the server will cost 10 million naira. The head of finance will be like, why should we buy a server for 10 million naira? Like, why waste that kind of, why waste that amount of money? Okay, it's a waste to him because he doesn't really understand why we need that server. But he's in that powerful position to release the money to secure the server. Okay, the IT head understands the use of the server, but the head of finance does not understand why we need that server. Okay, so if we don't communicate well to that finance guy, he will not sign that document. He won't sign that check. We won't get that cash. It will be back and forth until the business crumbles. Okay, so it's important that we communicate from the ground up. We understand the stakeholders and communicate information to them so that we'll be on the same, level with regards to the project. The main responsibility of stakeholder management rests, of course, with the project manager. Although in a business analysis project, this role may be assumed by one of the analysts. However, all team members have important roles to play in identifying stakeholders, in helping to understand their needs, and in helping to manage their expectations from the project. Okay, you release out a product within the bank, and then nobody in the bank, takes out time to even go on Twitter, go on Facebook to, read what customers, to read about the product performance, online from the customers. You don't have survey. Okay, you don't have survey out there for the customers to even understand, for the customers to fill up, and you get a view of the customers from the customers. It's not good enough. Okay, somebody from the team should be able to take over that analyst position. Okay, that business analyst position. And in fact, within organizations, we should have a business analyst in every department. The customer care department should have a business analyst. The IT department should have a business analyst. In fact, every department should have a business analyst within an organization. If we look at organizations, in fact, 2 trainings that should be made compulsory within every organization, 2 trainings: information security and business analysis. Information security and business analysis. If you can get the business right, if you can analyze the business, yes, you get the business right. Okay, let's move forward. The first step in stakeholder management involves finding out who the stakeholders are. A good working definition of a stakeholder is anyone who has an interest in or may be affected by the issue under consideration. Okay, that's the first definition of stakeholder. Anybody who has an interest or will be affected by that particular consideration. Okay, this means anyone affected by the project or who may be able to influence it. Of course, each project will have its own distinctive set of stakeholders determined by the nature of the project and the environment in which it is taking place. Like the example I gave, you want to buy a server. That's a project. Okay, you buy a server, you install the server, you set it up, you connect it to the resources available and all that. That's a project. Okay, but it doesn't make sense to the head of finance. He sees it as a waste of money. Is the business going fine? Yes, let's keep going fine. Let's keep going. Just leave us alone like the way we are. We are okay. We are okay. That's what he will say. Okay, doesn't really understand why we need a new server. Okay, so it's important that we identify these stakeholders, everybody will be affected, that will, influence this decision, that will influence the project. Okay, that will influence the project, from the project sponsors down to the customers, to the security guards out there. Okay, they're all important. However, we can identify some generic stakeholder categories that may apply to many projects. Okay, so there are some generic stakeholder categories that we can apply to projects. Let's take a look at some of these categories. Okay, so we have partners, suppliers, regulators, that's the chairman, the employees, the managers, the owners, the competitors, the customers. Okay, these are all stakeholders. They're all generic stakeholders categories. You know why I keep mentioning the regulators? Most times you see the regulators in a position where they don't have much interest, okay, in the project. Okay, they don't have much interest in the project because you are servicing your customers. They're just there as overview to as oversight to just make sure that you don't go against the rules and regulations that have been set out. Okay, so the regulators, they may have low interest, but they are very powerful. They are very powerful. Okay, you can never underestimate the power of regulators. CBN can wake up one morning and like, hey, we don't want to hear anything crypto in Nigeria, and that's all. Case closed. They can wake up and say, we are shutting down this bank because of ABC. Case closed. You came off the project that customers are complaining about. Okay, pull down that project. You pull it down. They are very powerful. So it's we should never underestimate the powers of the regulators as much as the customers. Okay, also the customers. Okay, and the customers, one customer may not be that powerful, but put 10,000 customers together, and then you understand the power of the customers. So let's look at the customers. They are the people or organizations for whom our organization provides products or services. They are stakeholders because anything we do in the way we change, in the way of change, has a potential effect on them. We must consider how to manage and change most effectively so as not to lose customers that we wish to retain. Okay, it may be useful to subdivide this general category into maybe large and small customers, regular or occasional customers, wholesale or retail customers, corporate or private, commercial or public sector, civilian or military, domestic or export. I had this minor challenge with a fintech in Nigeria, and they had I reported this bug, and after reporting the bug and doing the full documentation and sent to them, the first thing they did was to freeze my account. But they froze my account, and I was like, "Are you people joking?" And it took them 5 days to unfreeze, and replied me after 5 days, after a 5th day. That's when they replied me, and they enabled my account again. And we got on a call, and we sorted it out. But then, why freeze my account for reporting the bug? I'm not the bad guy. We're trying to make the internet a good place. Also, if we remember the last hack that happened on was it Bolt or Uber? Yeah, Uber and Bolt, where customers' data were leaked, and we got there was this leak of credit card details, debit card details, from Bolt. A lot of people stop using Bolt for a while. Myself, I removed my card from the Bolt platform so that to avoid stories that touch the heart. Okay, and this is something we should look at when doing business analysis within our organization. Between the money, reputation, and the customers, which do you prioritize within the organization? which do you prioritize within the organization? It's important because there's something called reputational risk. Okay, there's something called reputational risk. One customer can really cause damage. Okay. Also, just some months back, we had there was this story of a tomato paste where a lady reported that the tomato paste caused some issues with other customers and that, and then the owner of the business came up, took her to court and all that, and they kept dragging each other. Now, so many people are trying to, cut out from that business. They're going to stop patronizing the business, and the business now rebranded, came up with another name and all that. So, reputational risk, that's something that we should be very careful of, and that's something that will go like wildfire with the customers. Okay, if your customers are not happy with you, with the product, that product will mostly not do well out there. Partners, these are the organizations that work with our organizations. For example, to provide specialized services on our behalf. An example of a partner organization may be outsourcing company that provides call center service. Okay, like for example, there's ISOM BPO. ISOM BPO is an organization that provides call center services for Airtel and MTN. Okay, and for those of us that work in the bank, when you go for things like PCI DSS certification, you're made to come up with things like attestation of compliance for your partners and third-party service providers. Okay, maybe you have someone that does card customization for you. Okay, you have to get their attestation of compliance and what have we. So these are partners. Okay, suppliers. These provide our organization with the goods and services that it uses. Again, we may wish to subdivide them into major or minor suppliers, regular or occasional suppliers, domestic or overseas. Some of our organizations have suppliers for laptops, desktops, routers, switches, papers, staple pins, pen. Okay, so we have suppliers. So these are also stakeholders. Competitors vie with us for the business of our customers. Okay, they want to get your customers. They want to take that food from your mouth. Okay, but at the same time, you can also work with your competitors. One way competitors work together is when it comes to localization of industry. That's something we learned in GSS1 business studies. Okay, localization of industries, where you have several industries come together to share resources. For example, like if you go to the major banking area in your states where we are within Nigeria, you notice 4 or 5 banks are in one location. Okay, probably sharing 1 or 2 transformers, and they kind of prioritize resources for them, water, electricity, and what have we. Okay, so that's one way you can also, the competitors can work together. Okay, but then regulators, many organizations are now subject to regulation or inspection. Examples of these organizations are maybe the banks. Okay, we have the pension PENCOM, okay, regulating the PFAs, PFCs, the PFAs and the PFCs. Okay, that's the pension fund administrators and the custodians. Okay, we have PENCOM, and then there are other authorities, the mortgage bank and all that. So there are several regulators. Even for the National Communication Commission, it's also a regulator. Okay, regulating the networks. Okay, so regulators also, they are very powerful. Like I mentioned earlier, they are very powerful. We should never underestimate their power. The owners, for a commercial business, the owners are just the people who own it directly. The business may be, in legal terms, a sole trader or partnership. Okay, these are the owners. Most times the owners are actually the project sponsors. Most times, okay, you see the owners who come out like, okay, how do we get more money from the customers? We need to release one product, we need to build a product and push it out there. Yes, okay, take the money, build it, and then we roll out the product. So most times you see the owners coming out there to fund the project. We have the employees, the people who work in an organization clearly have an interest in the way it is run and in changes that it makes. In a small firm, the employees may be regarded as individual stakeholders, but in larger concerns, they are probably best considered as groups. When it comes to employees, they are very important, okay, because if your employees are not happy with you as a business owner, you're in trouble. Okay, stakeholder categories and identification. We have the managers. Okay, we also have the managers. We can be subdivided into the board level, senior managers, middle managers, junior managers, frontline supervisors. Okay, they are all managers. As with many aspects of stakeholder management, it is an error to assume that a group such as managers is homogeneous in its views and concerns. Junior managers may well have a very different perspective and a different set of hopes and fears from those on the board who take the major, strategic decisions. Okay, let's proceed. And then we have this other stakeholders. Okay, we have other stakeholders. There are other stakeholders that we're going to look at as we proceed with this class. Analyzing stakeholders. Having identified the stakeholders, the next step is to assess the weight that should be attached to their issues. No stakeholder should be ignored completely. No stakeholder should be ignored completely. As you carry out business analysis project, as you carry out any project, please understand that no stakeholder should be ignored. Okay, no stakeholder. Just the way Stanbic Bank were able to contact me and made the updates and inform me of the update. Hey, if you have challenge with your transaction because of the updates we release, please contact us. We will be ready to assist and make sure we get the application working to the best. Okay, so that was how we should not ignore any stakeholder. We should not ignore any stakeholder. We're going to look at power and interest grid as we proceed. A simple way of analyzing stakeholders is to use the power interest grid. In using this grid, it is important to plot stakeholders where they actually are, not where they should be, or perhaps where we would like them to be. Do not assume a customer to be in the position of a manager in the power interest grid. We're going to take a look at the grid. Okay, right here. We have those that are powerful, okay, and those that have high interest in the project, okay, or in the business within an organization. Like I mentioned, when it comes to power, the regulators are very powerful. Okay, they can just seize your license and okay, business over, everybody go home. Okay, but then they may not have that much interest in your product. They may have very low interest in your product, but I mean, you'll see them sitting pretty somewhere here. Top here, okay, very high interest and influence, okay, but then no, maybe here, yeah, very high interest or influence, but very high power and influence, but no interest at all. Okay, so you may have them sitting somewhere here, sitting pretty and looking at your business. Okay, there are of course an infinite number of positions that could be taken on the power interest grid, but it is probably sufficient here to consider the 9 basic situations: no interest and no power. In the power interest grid, let's look at no interest and no power, okay? Or maybe low interest, low power. Okay, let's say, for example, NGOs. Let's say, for example, NGOs. Let's take, for example, when the CBN came up with that e-Naira project, and then, the NGOs may not be considered as they may be considered as no interest or no power, to influence the project. And also probably customers, citizens that don't really value the use of such cryptocurrencies. They may just see it as, I mean, that's a waste to us. I'm not interested. I'm not powerful to do anything. I'm not even using it. So just leave me out of it. Okay. So we can group these persons into the low power, low influence category. They don't have any power to influence the project, and they cannot, they are not interested. They are also not interested in the project. These are stakeholders who have neither a direct interest in the project nor any real power to affect it. For practical purposes, they can be ignored as regards day-to-day issues on a project. And there needs to be no special effort made to persuade them of its benefits. However, as stakeholders do change positions on the map, okay, it is probably wise to inform them occasionally about what is going on. That's why you end up seeing billboards, on NTA News, e-Naira, and all that. But then they may not be interested in it, but then still put it out there to them. Okay, so so this is still on the power and the power and interest grid. Some or high, let's say high interest, no power or influence. They have some or high interest. Okay, yeah, I'm a bit interested, and then I have no power to influence it that much. these groups can be very difficult to manage effectively because although they may be very directly affected by a change project, they feel powerless to shape its direction in any way. This frustration can result in passive resistance to the change, which, although overcome by positional power, can lead to delay and less than normal optimal results. The basic management strategy here is to keep such stakeholders informed of what is going on and of the reasons for the proposed change. However, this is a rather passive approach, and in most circumstances, more effort must be devoted to selling the project. This can best be done by being as honest as possible about the need for change, by highlighting the positive aspects of the change or the negative consequences of not making it, and by frequent and focused communication of progress. Okay, that's the high interest, no power group. They are really interested in it, but they don't have any, power to, affect, change the project. Okay, so when it comes to things like public awareness campaigns, okay, that's one way you can get across to such stakeholders, okay, running campaigns, programs, and all that. So that's one way we can get across to this type of stakeholders. So let's go over to no or some or high interest and some, power influence persons, okay, stakeholders. This is rather varied. Excuse me. Okay, this is a rather varied group. It includes some stakeholders such as middle or senior managers who do have some power or influence, but who, because their interests are not directly affected, are not very concerned about the direction a project is taking. Regulators may also fall into this category. They will only start to get involved if some breach of the rules is suspected, at which point they could, in effect, squash an initiative. The group can also include people with more interest in the project, but again, only some power or influence over it. The best approach with these people is to keep them supportive of the project, possibly by frequent positive communication with them, but perhaps also by involving them more with the project. Okay. Then we have the no interest but high power and influence. No interest but high power. These are probably very senior managers who, for one reason or another, have no direct interest in the project. This may be because it is too small or unimportant for them to bother with, or it may be that it is an area that does not interest them. Okay, the group marketing director, for instance, probably will not be concerned about a project procedure. Okay, so like for many purposes, it might be thought that such stakeholders can be ignored, but this is actually a rather risky approach. Our marketing director may, for instance, suddenly get very interested in the stationery system if she keeps getting pens that don't work, okay, or can't get hold of any adhesive notes, or if a computer keeps failing from one vendor, she'll start asking questions. Okay, so no interest but high power and influence. Some interest and high power. Okay, some interest and high power. These are people, these people have some interest in the projects, probably an indirect interest caused by the fact that the project is happening within or affecting their part of the organization, and they have real power. The usual stakeholder management strategy here is to keep them satisfied so that they do not feel the need to take greater interest in the project. In other circumstances, however, the strategy may be precisely the opposite. To get a stakeholder of this kind more actively involved in a project, for example, if the finance director of an organization can be persuaded to get positively involved in a project, this involvement will often be a powerful force for success. Hence, the director can make resources available that would otherwise be hard to come by, like I mentioned earlier, you want to buy a new server and then this man is not interested in it, just forget it. Okay, so we need to get him on board, let him actually understand, get his interest in the project. Okay, get his high interest, bring him up to that high interest, high power, grid, and not the little interest. But when he gets positively interested in the project, yes, he is going to give his full support to the project. He will give his full support. But if he's not positively interested in the project, then there's going to be a bottleneck there. High interest and high power or influence. These are the key players, the people who are interested in the project and also have the power to make it work or not. Often, the key players are the managers of the function directly affected by the project. Initially, it is important to determine whether individual key stakeholders are positive or negative in their attitude to a project. If they are positive, then their enthusiasm must be sustained, especially during a time of difficulty. It's also important to appreciate the concerns and opinions of key stakeholders, and this will need to be considered when making any recommendations. For example, if one of the key stakeholders has a particular solution in mind, it is important to know about. For example, if one of the key stakeholders has a particular solution in mind, it is important to know about it as early as possible to ensure that at the very least, this solution is evaluated as one of the options. It is also vital that the key stakeholders understand the progress of the project and why certain decisions have been made. These are the people to whom any final recommendations will be presented and who will take the final decisions. They need to be kept informed at all stages of the project so that none of the recommendations comes as a shock to them. Those key players who are negatively inclined towards a project can be managed in various ways depending on the circumstances. By far, the best approach is to find some personal benefits for them in the proposed course of action. Alternatively, a more powerful counterforce must be found to outweigh their negative influence. This might mean engaging the interest of someone in one of the high power areas of the grid. Okay, so right here we have the high interest and the high power, stakeholders. Okay, let's proceed. Individuals and groups of stakeholders. An individual customer may not be of much concern to, say, a big supermarket chain. However, if such customers write to newspapers, organize petitions, and perhaps make a lot of complaints to trading standard officers, they can increase their apparent power considerably. Okay, a lot of people power can damage even large concerns considerably and force them into major reversals of course. The classic example of this is the mighty Coca-Cola being forced to reintroduce its traditional Coke in the face of a massive worldwide customer revolt against a new formula. Similarly, individual employees can be marginalized by an organization, but if they are members of a trade union, their power is greater. Okay, a single civil servant who objects to a policy may be relatively powerless, yes. But if such people blow the whistle to national newspapers, they can cause considerable difficulty. All of these examples illustrate the dangers of mistaking individual weakness for collective weakness. Stakeholders must be considered not just as individuals, but also as potential groups. Okay. In summary, summary of stakeholder management strategies. Individual stakeholders will not fit neatly into one of the 9 types, and management approaches must be tailored for each. Also, as we shall discuss in the next section, stakeholders do not stay in the same place over time, And so the ways they are managed must be adapted, accordingly. So let's talk about managing stakeholders. Okay, let's talk about managing stakeholders. Let me share this sheet. Come up with something here. Give me a second. Okay, so when it comes to managing stakeholders, we should understand their position. Okay, we're going to take a look at the RASI charts, okay, where we'll see their position within a project, who is responsible for what, who should be held accountable for what within the project. So let's take a look at this sheet, for example. Just give me a second. So we're going to take a look at this briefly. Then let's proceed. Stakeholders' positions do not necessarily stay in the same place during the life of a project. Okay, at the most obvious level, a manager may get promoted from a high interest, low power situation to one of being both interested and powerful. Alternatively, a manager who is promoted into a job with a wider remit may lose interest in a project. The circumstances of an organization may change so that, for example, senior managers begin to focus more on IT projects. Okay, so this may happen, and then there'll be that change in the stakeholder position. Okay, there will be that change in the stakeholder position as the project moves further. Once stakeholders' initial positions have been plotted, a plan should be drawn up for what to do with each of them and how to approach it. A one-page assessment can be made for each stakeholder, or if you want to be, or if you want to be able to see all stakeholders briefly, set up a spreadsheet with columns that have the following headings. Things like the name, the current power influence, the current interest, the issues, okay, interest, the current attitude, okay, the desired support, desired role, desired actions, messages to convey, okay. And let's see a sample of this table. Okay, right here we have the name of the stakeholder, we have the job title, the current power or influence, if it's high, if it's medium, if it's low, the current interest, okay. We're not talking about the interest after 3 months or towards the end of the project, the current interest, then the issues and, interest, then the current attitude of this stakeholder. Is this stakeholder a supporter? Is it a champion? Is it just neutral? Okay, the desired support, okay, and then the desired role of this stakeholder. If we can have the stakeholder as a part of the chairing committee, we can have the stakeholder as a project sponsor or probably a technical advisor. Okay, and also we can have our desired actions. What do we want from this customer? What do we want these customers to, this stakeholder to do? Okay, if the technical advisor, of course, wants him to provide technical input, ensure system compatibility and all. Okay, the kind of messages we want to convey, the kind of communication should address, technical challenges and, benefits and integration benefits, and we can change the communication period to maybe daily, weekly, bi-weekly, or what have we. So this is a simple table we can come up with to identify our stakeholders and, of course, manage them. Okay, so this is simple table we can do within our organization that we can use to, just identify and manage the stakeholders, okay, within the project. All right, so let's proceed. Okay, let's take a look at the stakeholder, defining stakeholder involvement, the RASI and RASI charts. Apart from deciding on the management strategy for the various stakeholders, it can also be very useful in a business analysis project to consider the tasks or deliverables involved and ask what the involvement of the stakeholders will be for each. A simple and effective method for achieving this is create a RASI chart. So this is an example of the chart. This is an example. We want to know who is responsible, who is accountable, who is to be consulted, who is to be informed, okay, and who is to support the project. That's why we have the RASI with the S, who is to support the project. Okay, so S here is for support. S here is for support. Okay, we want to know who is responsible, who should be held accountable, who should come in to support the project, okay, who should be consulted, and who should be informed about the project. Sometimes the customer should just be informed. Okay, sometimes you just have to inform the customers. Hey, dear customers, this is what we have for you. This next product we have available for you. I mean, just keep them informed. So let's take a look at the table right here with the support. Let's take, for example, we have the finance director. When it comes to budget approval, sure, it's going to be accountable. When it comes to things like system integration, hello, it should just be informed. Yes, we are migrating to a new server. Oh, is that so? Okay. We are consuming API from so place. Oh, is that so? Okay. Let him just be informed. When it comes to change management strategy, well, you may want to inform him, or you may just want to inform him if it's not in change management chairing committee or whatever we have within the organization. Okay. When right there you see this project sponsor. For example, now Karim Ahmed as the project sponsor. When it comes to project planning, definitely is the chairman there. Okay. Compliance check, you want to also copy in there. When it comes to customer feedback, he also wants to see it. Okay. Do they like this product? He wants to see how his money is doing. He's the one sponsoring the project. Okay. Supply management, he also wants to see it. Okay. He wants to be aware. He's the one sponsoring the project. He wants to be held accountable, I mean. So you hold him out. He wants to be in that pipeline. Okay, because he's the project sponsor, he's the chairman there. When it comes to let's look at Mark Johnson, for example, that's the IT manager. Okay. When it comes to the system integration, he's the one responsible for it. For planning IT projects, he's the one responsible for it. Okay. So for development and testing, yes, you may want to just provide support if it's not the one responsible for that. For customer feedback, it wants to be, I mean, keep him in the loop. Let him just be aware. Okay. So this is how we make use of the RASI charts. Okay. So this is simple table we can also do within an organization or for a project. Okay. So we want to understand who is responsible, who should be held accountable, who is there for support, who should be consulted, okay, and who should be informed. Okay, and when it comes to information, you can also communicate, with the stakeholders via emails, text messages, web chats. If the organization have a kind of enterprise solution for managing their business process, such a tool like Odoo, for example, that's inbuilt chat where you can send messages to anybody, to all the people within an organization. Okay, if we I don't know if we've talked about Odoo in this class, if anybody have explained the use of Odoo to us. Okay, so this one tool, you can just Google it up. It's a very powerful tool. Odoo can use to communicate within the organization. So I mean, it's important that we understand where and how they play their roles, and how we can also communicate to these stakeholders. Okay, so at the end of this class, we have an assessment which will share with us. So we should, attempt the questions there. Responsible. This is the person or role responsible for creating or developing the product or performing the task. Okay, accountable is the person or role who will carry the can for the quality of the product or task. Consulted, this person or role provides information that is input to the product or task. Example, the senior user, for example. Informed, these stakeholders are informed about a product or task. Okay. So the S for supportive, this is used when a person or role will aid and sometimes resources to whoever is responsible for the product or deliverables. For example, the business analyst is supporting the project manager in the creation of the project initiation documents, and the database administrator supports the business analyst in developing the class diagram. Okay, developing a class diagram is not something that business analysts might know how to do. So the database administrator is there to, should be there to support the business analyst in creating this diagram, and making it available for the project if it's a solution that is to be built in-house. Okay, so any questions, please, before we move to Bizagi? Do you have any questions? Please, if you have a question, I think you can drop it in the chat window. So how many of us have downloaded Bizagi Modeler? If you've downloaded Bizagi Modeler, please identify. Are we still together on this class, please? Are we still together in this class? Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I think, please, if you have your questions and you want to speak, kindly put up your hand, would unmute you to speak. Or if you want to chat in the chat room, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Okay, still downloading. Please, after downloading, you should install it. Okay, don't stick on the enterprise button when installing the application. Okay, so just install the modeler. That's all you need to do. Install only the modeler software. Okay, so while we'll do that, so if you have your Bizagi downloaded and installed, we should have something like this. Let me share my screen again, please. Give me a second. Okay, so can we see my screen, please? So we should have something like this. Please, we should have something like what is displayed on the screen. So if you have what I have here, please identify. Just raise up your hands. If you have what I have on the screen, please identify. Why am I can't see the chat? Okay. Okay, still downloading at the moment. Yeah, please. Okay, what you're downloading? We're downloading the modeler tool, the Bizagi tool. Okay, so I'll share the link again. Please click on it, register, and then you download. Click on it, you register, and you download. And then you may not be able to log in because while today, I don't know what's wrong with your server, but then I was able to log in. So as you can see, I'm not logged in. I clicked use without logging in when I opened the application. Okay, so we're talking about Bizagi. We're talking about Bizagi. And why Bizagi? Why do you have to download Bizagi and install Bizagi or know how to use Bizagi? Bizagi is not the only tool out there, okay? Bizagi is just a process modeling tool. It's a tool we use to model processes within our organization, within departments, in our SOPs, and what have we. Okay, so we can use Bizagi tool to model our processes. Now, we can also use this tool on the enterprise-wide to create, enterprise solution. Okay, we can use it to create solutions that you use within the department. Maybe you want someone to submit a form, to submit their biodata from outside, you can actually use this process tool to model it and push it out there. You can test it on the enterprise version. Okay, so this is just the basic modeling for process. Okay, let's just understand how we can use this, and also we'll learn about the notations, okay, and what they stand for as we proceed. So I don't want to be the only one. Okay, but then I'm using this Bizagi modeler, and the others I've seen they are also heavier, similar size. So I mean, for those of us that have a visual license within our organization, if you have a visual license within our organization, yes, you can make use of Microsoft Visio. Okay, that's one tool you can use to model processes. There's a Lucid Charts also, Lucid Charts and a Visio. So you can also Google them and log in. If you have the Visio license, okay, you can use Visio within your organization if you have the license. There's Lucid Charts. So these are tools, other tools that you can use, but then it's easier to come up with to use Bizagi is free, open source out there, and then you can just download it, install it, create this process. Okay, let it create the process, make it something that others will understand, and then you share it within the department. You can save it and share it with another person within the department for them to also understand the business process. This is something that if everybody knows how to make use of the process modeling tool, if you are telling the IT guy, I want you to develop an application for recruitment, and the IT guy is just a programmer, okay, understand database, understand JavaScript, HTML, PHP, CSS, and all that, MySQL. I need a portal to, a recruitment portal, okay, or maybe a leave application portal, for example. I need a leave application portal. I mean, just get the process and show it to him. If you can build the process and give it to the IT guy will be able to program it faster, because he adds this is a visual representation of what you want the system to do. Users, logs in with their ID, apply for leave, click on apply for leave, goes there and select the date from this date on that date, select supervisor, select who can do the who can play the role. Probably supervisor will do that, and then you submit. Supervisor sees the application from the back end and from his own account, and then he will be able to either approve or deny the leave application. Okay, but then if you can model the process out, the IT guy will be able to build the solution. So we have 30 minutes to do this, to go to Bizagi. Please download the Bizagi tool, install it, and all right, let's go over some of the business process notation. So we won't go through the whole business process management standard. Okay, I'll just show us what the notations we we'll be using. There are other tools that have similar, notation. Okay, other tools have similar notations. Okay, so it's something that if we see it on Bizagi, when we go to Lucid Charts or Visio will identify it immediately. Okay, they are similar. It's just the standard. So let's go over the standard, and let's go over the shapes for workflow. We'll take a look at the standard. We'll take a look at the shapes for workflow. Okay. Business process management is a discipline in operations management in which people use various methods to discover, measure, and improve business processes. You discover, you measure, and you improve business processes. The business process management is a philosophy whose objective is to improve efficiency through process management. These processes should be modeled, automated, integrated, monitored, optimized, and optimized continuously, continuous improvement. But right here today, we'll be talking about just the modeling. Okay. Just model the process. Okay, we are not automating the process, we are not integrating the process, okay, we are not building the process, we are not monitoring the process. Okay, but then we are going to model the process. It supports companies centered on processes, providing them with tools to facilitate decision-making, management, operations, control, and automation in a simplified or unified way. Okay, so BPM enables in real time to model and automate processes, capturing the business logic to manage and improve your processes. The process indicators are captured in real time that enables managers to analyze and decide in the appropriate time the actions to be followed to reach their objectives. Okay, so let's business process management systems. Okay, these are technological solutions that support the strategy of business process management within the organization in a company centered on processes with BPM systems. The performance based on the technology which supports the operation. The processes encompasses the business and can be monitored, or information can be collected and analyzed in real time. The business processes and technology are completely integrated. Therefore, BPM represents higher performance for organization. Okay, let's streamline our business processes. So let's talk about the business process model and notation. Okay, the business process model and notation is a graphic notation that captures the logic of the activities, messages between the various participants, and all information necessary for a process to be analyzed, simulated, and implemented. In business process management strategy, the processes of an organization are the most important assets to understand. Model processes is a crucial step in implementing a BPM strategy. Okay, now when you want, we may not really understand why we need to do this, but then let's imagine someone in the HR department, maybe the in this JAPA era, we just have 4 persons in the HR department just set to JAPA. You know, we have 4 persons just, you know, tender the resignation and abruptly just, you know, resign and have to leave the organization. Okay, and then you quickly, you know, try to fill up that space, and then you have 2 newbies that have not really worked as HR managers, okay, in their past job description, and then you now have them in the HR department when you don't have a defined business process, you don't have the processes carried out within the HR properly defined in the SOP. So when they pick the SOPs and just read the junk of documents, 15-pager, 40-pager document, and then they still do not understand what was expected of them. Okay, they don't understand where they have files stored within the system. Okay, so that will be a problem for the organization. We had that challenge in was it last year when we, some IT guys had to resign from some of our banks in Nigeria, and we all felt the impact of that. Okay. BPMN is a unified language for diagramming business processes in a clear, standardized, and comprehensive way. This enables companies to provide a general understanding of processes within their organization, facilitates communication additionally. It supports business process management for both technical users and business users by providing a notation that is intuitive to business users, but also sufficiently precise to diagram complex process. Okay, so let's look at these notations. Let's look at some of these shapes. Okay, so you can see this is a connector. Okay, this symbol is used is terminator, indicates the beginning or end of a program flow in your diagram. There's a process, indicates any processing function. This is a decision. Okay, this is a delay. Data, where data is being captured, you want to attach the document or multiple documents. A subroutine. This is a subroutine. Okay, so this diagram, for you, I'll just take a screenshot. Okay, and let's have this diagram close to you. So let's go back to our tool right here. So Bizagi Modeler enables organizations to create and document business processes locally and in a central cloud repository to gain a better understanding of each step and identify process improvement opportunities to increase organizational efficiency. Okay, so let's take a look at a simple example of a business model process. Let's see this. Purchases. Okay, from the purchasing department, the boss, and then the applicant. The applicant starts, creates a purchase request. Okay, you want the shapes again. Okay, right here we have the shapes. I think some of us missed the charts, the link. So let me paste the link again. I just send the link again. So, okay, so right here we have the shapes, but then within Bizagi, we're going to do a little bit of a practical. So let's go back to Bizagi. So right here, we have an example of a business process, model process. Okay, so this is a modeled process, it's a simple process for purchase, okay, for the purchase department. So if you want to make purchase, you create a purchase request. Someone will authorize the request, which is the boss. If the request is authorized, it goes to the purchasing department for approval. Okay, if it's not authorized, probably there's need to be for adjustments. Then I mean the adjustment will be stated, notify the user, and the requester, the applicant will need to reapply. Okay, I need a new laptop. It comes to the boss. The boss, either request or either authorize it or deny. Why do you need a new laptop? We bought a laptop for you last week. Please, let's go back. So probably the laptop is not powerful enough to run video editing, and you got me a Pentium dual core. Why I need a Core i7 with dedicated graphics, GTX RX 3096. Okay, but you are giving me a dual core Pentium to edit videos with Adobe Premiere Pro CC Creative Cloud. Okay, that will not work. Okay, so I mean, the request will come down, and then if it's approved, the purchasing department will carry out the quotations and then purchase order, and then it ends. Okay. If there's need for changes, yes, to go back to the requester. If there's no need for change, I just want to outrightly deny it. So this is a simple process. Okay, this is a simple process. We're going to take a look at building this same process. Okay, we're going to build this same process, and then we're going to build other similar processes. Account update process, for example, you have a customer walking to the bank to update his account. This process begins when a customer requests an account update. Bank staff, asks for all verification information. Okay, bank staff verifies the customer's identity and all that. So identification successful. If yes, confirm requested change. Okay, if no, it goes back to the customer. Okay, there's no end here. There should be an end button here. Update account information. There should be an end button here. Where there should be a line up to the end button that stands for the end of the process. That signifies the end of the process. So this another account is very simple process within the organization. So let's go to our Bizagi tool. Let's take a look at our Bizagi tool. Looking at the Bizagi tool, we have what is called the canvas. Okay, if you look at it, it looks like the normal Microsoft Word we are familiar with. Normal Microsoft Word and tooling. The structure is really familiar. Okay, you can see it across several applications we make use of on day-to-day basis. So this right here where we can play around is called the canvas. All this space here is called the canvas. Okay, and then we have the task bar. And then we have the elements. Right here, we have the task bar, just the way we have with PowerPoint, Excel, and what have we. So right here, we have the task bar, while here we have the elements. And if you over on each element, you're going to see the what it signifies. Okay, there's a start event. The start event indicates where a particular process will start. A particular process will start in terms of sequence flow. The start event starts the flow of the process and thus will not have any incoming sequence flow. Okay, this is a task event. So let's look at the start event. You're going to see the start event with the timer, message, signal start, conditional start. Okay, parallel multiple starts and multiple starts. If we come here to the task event, a task is an atomic activity that is included within a process. Okay, an activity included within a process. Right here we have the non-task, a user task, service task, receive task, send task, script task, okay, manual task, business task. The script task here is executed by a business process engine. The modeler or implementer defines a script in a language that the engine can interpret. When the task is ready to start, the engine will execute the script. When the script is completed, the task will also be completed. Okay, so right here, we have the sub-process. Okay, so we can have several sub-processes. A sub-process object is an activity that contains other activities. The process within the process is dependent on the parent process for an instigation and has visibility to the parent's global data. So no mapping of data is required. This is a gateway. Okay, under processes, we can have this reusable sub-process and the sub-process. And then under the gateway, gateways are decision, yes or no. Right here, we have the parallel gateway, the exclusive gateway, inclusive gateway, event-based gateway, exclusive event-based gateway, and parallel event-based gateway. We also have the complex gateways. All right, right here we have the intermediate events, where we have other events. Trying to make sure we get this done by 3 p.m. And right here we have the end event. Okay, the end event. The end event indicates where a process will end in terms of sequence flow. The end event ends. The end event ends the flow. Okay, it ends the flow. So we have the message end. This type of end indicates that a message is sent to the participant at the conclusion of the process. Okay, so like the process, the account updates process that I displayed earlier, there should be an end event with a message going back to this customer that, okay, the account has successfully updated. Okay, I had similar challenge with, I had this experience with one of our banks. Went there to update my data, and I mean, the process was very disturbing. It was very disturbing. Yeah, very disturbing. I'm not sure they had the IT, infrastructure that handles account updates really defined, or process really defined. So let's also look at other parts of this tool. Uses of BPMN. Private internal business process. Private business processes are those internal to a specific organization. These processes have been generally called workflow of BP or BPM process. So this is an example. Then for collaborations, for example, okay, now these account updates, yes, with an end, but this end doesn't have a message, and I should prefer the end to be on top in the customer segment. A collaboration depicts the interaction between two or more business entities. A collaboration usually contains two or more pools representing the participants in the collaboration. The message exchange between the participants is shown by a message flow that connects two pools or the objects within a pool. So let's take a look at the pools. What's a pool? This is a pool. All right. This is a pool. Okay, right here you can have a pool. You can have multiple pools. You can add a lane to a pool. Okay, you can create milestones. Okay, you can create milestone. So right here we can add another pool here. Okay, no. Create a lane. This is a process. Okay, this is a process. You can create a lane. You can create another lane right here. Okay, so this is a process. Let's say account opening. So if you double click, you will be able to edit the text. Okay, so let's say customer manager. Let's put something here. Let's say compliance. Okay. When you want to open a bank account now, you need to fill the form you submit. Okay. Sometimes this compliance check and KYC is done automatically, where they have integrated their system with other, KYC services. Okay, it's usually carried out automatically. But then in years back, when this thing was done manually, okay, someone will have to verify that, yes, you've met the KYC requirements. Okay, and then they'll need to now, the manager will need to now approve your account, and then you have an account open for you. Bizagi modeler. So you can also still Google Bizagi modeler, and then you download it from the link displayed. So with this, I'm sure we can carry out a simple process. For example, let's say not the check deposits. Okay, let's say ATM card issuance process. let's say, for example, an ATM card issuance process. Let's leave the account opening for now. Let's say ATM. Let's delete this lane. Okay, so we can have the customer and then the manager. The customer starts a request for ATM. ATM requests. Okay, and then that's followed by a rounded rectangle, which signifies a task where the manager needs to verify the customer identity. Let me do this. I can click on this, and click on this one, and then drag it down. Okay, so manager verifies customer identity. If verification is successful, if I click on this, I can click a verification successful. If verification, let me leave this at verification. If no, this should be a message. Submit NIM slip. So if there's no verification, so we can get this from here. Back to the customer, get this, click and drag. So if I double click on this line, I can see no. I can type in as no. And if I draw another line here, I can double click on the line and I'll type yes. If verification is successful, then let's move further. So if verification is successful, we want to generate the card, okay, which is a task. We want to generate the card right here. And probably the customer might need to, activate the card. These days when you go to the bank and request for a card, it's usually a 5-minute process. Okay, I'm very sure of some banks that I bank with. It's usually within 5 minutes, you have your card generated, printed, and customized, and then we give issued, and then you get your card. You don't need to apply and wait for 7 days anymore. Okay, there's instant card in some of the banks within Nigeria. Okay, so you just walk in and you request for your card, you get your card, and then right there, when they give you the card, you activate the card. So when they generate and issue you the card, you activate the card, and then you have your card working. Okay, and that's the customer will have to change the PIN, generate the card in the bank and change the PIN there within the bank. Okay, and then we can have an end event where the customer have his card available in a sense. Okay, so this a very simple process for to describe the issuance of ATM cards. within the bank. Okay, so I mean, this is something that we can just export as an image. This is something you can save as a Bizagi file, of course. This one you can save as a Bizagi file and share with other persons within the organization, okay, for them to edit and understand the process. Or you can also save it as an image. Okay, you can just export it as an image, and then you have this image available, okay, within your organization, and then you attach this image to the SOP. Whoever comes in, a new staff, a new employee, comes up, sees this image, you will understand what you are doing or what you want to achieve within the organization. Okay, so this is just an example of a business process that we can model. Okay, this is just an example of a process we can model. This can be very complex. Okay, depends on the process. Okay, it can be very complex. And yes, some organizations have complex processes that needs to be modeled into something visual that, you know, someone can see in 5 minutes, understands the process and be able to vibe with it within the organization. Okay, and if we can't make these processes, you know, if we can't explain it and make it visual for users to see and understand, we'll keep having bottlenecks with what we do within the organization. No, don't fill up enterprise subscription. You don't have enterprise subscription. Leave enterprise subscription with for, you know, when your organization decide to do a kind of enterprise-wise subscription for you. Okay, so it's a tool you can use for free. All right, and if you must install it within your organization, please communicate with your IT department. Okay, if you're making use of the company's laptop, communicate with the IT department for them to install it for you. Okay, because some organizations, you may not have the access rights to install softwares. Okay, so you want to communicate with someone in the IT department, and there should be a business need justification, needs to justify the business need. Okay, and then they will install it for you and make sure there's no malware, there's no threats from the software. Yes, if it's experiencing server downtime, you can just download it and install without having to log in. It happens, yeah. It happens. The site is, I mean, this tool is kind of free, but if you want to go for the enterprise version, yes, that's not, the server won't go down. The server is always up. Yes, Mercy, that's your screen. Yeah, it's very correct. You're on point. Please, do you have any question? Any questions? Do we have any questions? So this is how we can make use of our Bizagi modeler to model business processes within our organization. Thank you all. Any questions, please?
Please feel free to ask your questions as we bring this section to a close. This was indeed very educative. I must say thank you very much, Henry. So please, questions before we draw the cutting. Okay, so I guess there are no questions. Mercy, over to you then.
All right, thank you so much, Henry. I've learned a lot too. Thank you for that. So a quick announcement before we draw the curtain close. To everyone who have registered, okay, without making their registration fee. Also, today happens to be the last day for the free class to everyone who have not yet made their payment. So the class is going to be restricted from next week, Saturday. Okay, so please, if you are yet to make that commitment fee, please do well to do it on time. All right. Please follow us on all of our social media handles on Twitter, which is now X, Instagram, Facebook, all of your complaints, you can direct it to our WhatsApp platform. All right. If there is any other announcement, we are going to pass it across to you all. All right. So if you have not filled the attendance, okay, someone is asking for attendance. Please give me a moment while I share that with you.
Okay, while Mercy is at that, please thank you so very much, Henry, for being with us today and for teaching us how to use the Bizagi modeler. I think at this point, we can all put a round of applause in the chat room to appreciate him and for sharing his time with us. Please, let's put our appreciation in the chat room with a round of applause. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Hey.
And for those who have challenges filling up the attendance form, you can chat your name, your full name to Mercy. Please drop your WhatsApp number also, drop the WhatsApp number. You can chat your full name to the WhatsApp and Mercy will attend to that as well. And we would appreciate your feedback. Tell us what you felt or how you felt from today's class. Please fill up the feedback form, and this will help us to improve. If there are areas you feel we should improve, we all want to give the best to you. All right, so please ensure to give us your feedback. It will help us to serve you better. All right, so we've come to the end of the studies today, and it's been a pleasure having every one of you in class. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you had value for your time in class today. So we'll see you again next week, Saturday. Please be on time so we can start on time and end on time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Stay happy and stay blessed. Bye. The presentation slides will be shared on the WhatsApp group as well. So please keep an eye on the WhatsApp group or the WhatsApp community. You'd receive the presentation slides we used today right there. For those asking for bank details, as long as you have registered online, you received an automatic message email reply. Please refer to that email reply. You would see the banking details where you would make your payments. All right, please refer to the banking, to your email to see the banking details where you'd make your payment. So this is a response going to Ukebu Ugochukwu. Please refer to that email if you have registered online. The recorded version of today's class will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can easily watch over and over again the recorded classes in case you're lagging behind or you want to recall something that you forgot to put down. So please subscribe. Every Monday we upload the recorded version so you can easily watch and rewatch. If you have registered, the link to join the WhatsApp community is also contained in the email response. So please click on the WhatsApp link and join the WhatsApp community. You only fill the attendance form once per class, all right? Every Saturday you fill it up once.